Guys, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Beard. Hope you guys are doing excellent tonight. It is a fantastic Monday evening. Monday flew by, and it's Tuesday Eve, folks. Guys, I am excited to have everybody here in the chat tonight. Hopefully, a few people can join in, tag along into the conversation. And as always, guys, I sincerely, as always, appreciate your support, the love, and the haters too. I'll take the haters too, as always. I get attention from the negativity either way. So good and bad, it's all helping my channel out. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. As usual, we're going to give it a few minutes. I'd like to thank everybody who is tuning in live tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Twitter. I now have a Twitter page. I haven't really done much on it yet, but definitely going to look into that here pretty soon, getting my name out more on that platform. And as always, I hope you guys are doing excellent tonight. Like I said, we're going to give people a few minutes to tune in. If you could do me a favor on your way in, hit that like button, show your boys some love, hit that like button so YouTube knows that you guys are enjoying this live stream tonight. So tonight, we're going to go over a few things. So fall is right around the corner, you guys. Right around the corner. We are literally at the end of October, not the end of October, excuse me. I'm getting way ahead of myself here, way ahead of myself. End of August, heading into September here pretty soon. Fall is going to be right around the corner as you know it. And then, believe it or not, fall time is an incredible time to catch smallmouth bass. Not a lot of people know about it. In fact, everybody thinks that spring is the only good time to catch smallmouth bass. Now, granted, I will say, even though springtime might be the best time, in my opinion, to catch smallmouth bass, especially during the spawn, if you skip the fall, you're doing yourself a massive injustice. And I'm telling you this right now, take my word for it. So tonight, I'll be giving you guys some game on how to catch fall smallmouth bass. And tonight, the second part of the chat, we're going to go over tackle box essentials for bass. Also, too, I'm going to go over what you need to bring with you on every single fishing trip. For those of you who might be new to fishing, you got to have a checklist with every single fishing trip that you go to. I'm going to let you guys know the essentials to have in your tackle box and just the fishing essentials to have with you, period, when you are on your trip so you can enjoy it. I see there's a couple people tuning in the chat. Thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. Appreciate you guys being here. Guys, like I said, do me a favor, hit your boy up, hit that like button, and subscribe, please, if you are new here. Speaking of new here, Matt, I believe you are new, buddy. I don't believe I've ever seen you in here, in my channel here, but I believe you look familiar from Facebook. So I believe you're part of one of my groups that I'm a part of in Facebook. I really appreciate you being here tonight, man. Thank you for being generous with your time, and thank you for supporting my channel, man. I'm very happy to have you here. Feel free to message me and chat sometimes on Facebook. I'm usually on Facebook quite a bit. Love to chat with you about fishing, man. Always open to doing that. And thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate that. Matt's Fishing Mission, my man, perfect. I actually like that. That's got a little bit of a ring to it, man. I really like that. Well, like I said, man, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, buddy. I appreciate you being here, and thank you again for supporting the channel. All right, you guys, so now that we have a few people in here, let's hop right into it. Now, you guys, springtime smallmouth bass fishing, everybody who knows even a little bit about smallmouth bass knows that springtime is when they spawn. They're right on their beds. If you're fishing in clear water and you can see them, there's nothing better than just throwing a nice big plastic bait at smallmouth bass on their beds and watching them snatch it off. Nothing better than that. But here's the thing, though, you guys. Fall time bass fishing, severely underrated, especially for smallmouth bass. So let's get right into it, you guys. All right, so one thing I can say about smallmouth bass is that when it comes to fishing for them in the fall, I would say that the one biggest advantage that you're going to have out there is that there's not as much boat traffic out there. Now, in the late spring, early summer out there, us bass fishermen know, especially if you fish in a canoe or a kayak or even a paddleboard, boat traffic is an absolute pain, you guys. It is an absolute pain. It makes life a hell of a lot more miserable out there in the water. So you have to compete with a lot more people. But the thing about the fall is that you do not have as much boat traffic. And also, too, with the decline of the water temperature, too, believe it or not, you guys, the bass actually get pretty aggressive. And something I've noticed, too, is that in the fall, when the water temperature gets to the low 50s, okay, so now when it drastically cools down, the one big tip I can give you guys is this. So the crayfish are going to be dormant, and the smallmouth bass are more than likely going to be going after bait fish at that time of the year. So that's a big sign for you guys. When that water reaches that type of temperature, you guys, that's when you want to start changing your thinking a little bit. Now, early in the fall, when of course the water is still a little bit more on the warmer side, the smallmouth might still be looking for those crayfish, but the reality is that once that water hits the low 50s, you guys, and again, if I have to repeat this 1,000 times, you guys, I will. The low 50s are when the game changes, okay? So when this happens, you're going to want to start thinking bait fish. And you're going to want to start thinking, what crankbaits and jerk baits can I use to mimic the bait fish in the water? Now, of course, it always helps if you have clear water, in my opinion, when it comes to jerk baits and crankbaits. But to be honest with you, though, if you do happen to have those, you guys, you want to pick clear colors. Okay, that's usually the way to go. Just clear singular colors are the way to go. But you always want to match the color of the bait fish in the water. So that's always the biggest thing. Matt, the Booyah Covert Spinner has been a big spring/fall smallmouth killer, at least in creeks and rivers. Yeah, man, I have heard some people talk about that bait, man, and in all honesty, that's probably very true. I've personally never tried it myself, but hey, honestly, I'd be more than willing to try that. I'm always looking to add to my arsenal, man. So I'm definitely happy that you mentioned that. Guys, whoever's in the chat too, if you guys are out there in the water, and you're trying the bait that Matt's talking about, let me know how that works, you guys, because honestly, I would be more than willing to try anything new. Matt, I always have my specific arsenal that I use, but like I said, I'm always looking to add to it, buddy. So that's a really good point. Thank you again, man, for adding that input. I appreciate that. All right, guys. So back to what I was talking about here. So now 10 to 20 feet of water is usually where the stuff happens that I'm talking about. Now, we did talk about the water going down to the low 50s. Now, 10 to 20 feet of water is good, but then 15 to 25 feet of water can also be good. And with smallmouth bass in the fall, you guys, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking for an area that is near a drop-off, and I'm looking for an area that has cover right near the drop-off. And that's usually where I find my smallmouth bass at. And in all honesty, what ends up happening is you can either get them, like I said, on the crankbait or the jerk bait. But again, if you're fishing murky water and you're fishing water that's maybe not even murky, but a little bit muddy, you can definitely go with a spinner bait. Now, you guys, I'm a big spinner bait guy. And in fact, what I'll usually do is that I use spinner baits to cast long and to cast a lot of times, you guys. So basically, if I'm in murky water, you guys, I'm not necessarily going to be using a crankbait or a jerkbait right off the bat. What I'm using is I'm using a spinner bait so I can make long casts, so I can cover a lot of ground, and so I can start finding an idea of where the fish are. Then from there, I will usually go with my jerkbaits or my crankbaits, like I said. And honestly, you guys, a honorable mention and probably one of the best fall time bass fishing baits that I like to use is the chatterbait, and I love the Z-Man chatterbait. It's a really old school one, you guys, but the fact is that it works. Old school is good school here in Bearded Fishing Chats. Old school is good school. That ought to be a quote, you guys. You'll see me in the Guinness Book of World Records for best quotes one day. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. So now, what I like to do too, you guys, is I like to have a variety of baits. And so I have a list here that you guys are going to enjoy. So now what I like to do here, and like I said, I'm kind of reading off my list here because I have so many baits that I could tell you guys about. So I mentioned colors earlier when it comes to matching the bait fish. I like to use the chrome color because it usually kind of matches like what the bait fish are looking for. And one thing that I really like doing is I like the Rapala DT6 crankbait, and I like to fish it like I said, in somewhat deeper water where it'll dive like maybe about 3 or 4 foot below the surface. And then I like to use a medium fast retrieve. That's usually my best bet for that. And what I like to do is, like I said, a big point is that I like to use them near rock piles, near drop-offs. That's the thing. I like to find structure near drop-offs. That's the biggest thing that I can tell you guys is find structure near drop-offs. And then for jerk baits, I like the Rapala X wraps too. That's another thing too. So I mentioned the Rapala X wraps. I mentioned the Z-Man chatterbait. Those are really my very best baits for the fall, you guys. So if you guys can get those down, those are really the way to go as far as fall bass fishing goes. Now, a lot of people use plastics in the fall. Those will work too. They can definitely work. And I also find that those tend to work good pretty earlier in the fall too, where, the smallmouth bass can periodically come in shallow. But again, you guys, as the fall gets deeper and deeper, you're going to find out that smallmouth bass are going to be deeper and deeper into their wintering holes up until the springtime or middle to late spring when they start to spawn again. So basically, you guys take advantage of fall smallmouth bass fishing. Take advantage of fall bass fishing in general, you guys. It's a very, very fun time, and take my word for it, it's an excellent time. Guys, I got a few people that are still in the chat here. Make sure you guys hit that like button, support your boy. Share this video with your friends. Let them know I'm on live now. I love audience participation. I love making sure that we get a good chat going. I'm planning on staying on tonight probably for 25 minutes, half an hour. I won't take up too much of you guys this time, but as always, I really enjoy you guys being here. So, all right, let's get on to the second segment. Now, bass fishing essentials in your tackle box. Now, this is different for everybody, but this is my particular bass fishing essentials that I use all year round. So when I'm bass fishing year round, I always have a lot of soft plastic baits with me. And I'll tell you why, because if you're fishing in the springtime for smallmouth bass on the spawn, I love Senkos and I love hooking a bullet weight onto there. In the summertime for largemouth bass, I love using Berkley power bait, again with a bullet weight. So I always keep a good assortment of soft plastics with me, and I always keep a mix of braid and mono lines. And I'll tell you why, because you guys, there's a lot of people out there who will not use mono and they swear by braid. I personally like braid better now that I've used it a couple of times, but I don't want to get too off topic here. So I usually keep a few sets of both. And the key is, you guys, is that if you feel nicks in your line or teeth marks in your lines, you guys, don't be afraid to cut off line, and make sure that you're always testing your line. Make sure that you're always testing your line, feeling for bites, feeling for scrapes on it. The surefire way to lose a bass, you guys, or any type of fish, is to not retie your lines. You guys, you have got to do that. Okay, so that's definitely a big essential of mine that I would say. Now, tackle box essentials also too. I would keep some hard baits in there. I'd keep some crankbaits, some jerk baits, as I just mentioned. I'm a huge fan of both. And of course, definitely, you guys, keep some jigs in there. And better yet, you guys, fishing rods too. Always keep a spare rod or two. Now, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, let's talk about a checklist for those new fishermen out there. And in fact, even you veteran fishermen can actually get an idea of what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about this checklist. So this checklist that I'm talking to you about is very important. Now, when you have your checklist, you don't want to be out in the middle of the lake. Now, we've all seen those days before. We've been out in the middle of the lake, everything is going well, and suddenly, oh, shoot, I forgot something. I forgot my sunscreen. I forgot some water. I forgot a hat to keep the sun out of my eyes. Forgot my sunglasses. Happens all the time, you guys. But you need a checklist. You need a checklist. I'm telling you, you need a checklist. And one of the best tips I can give you guys is to have your checklist taped to your damn tackle box. I do not care how foolish it looks. I don't care what you think other people might think. Keep your checklist on your tackle box, because this way, if you keep your checklist on your tackle box, it's always fresh in your mind as to what I need. Now, what I would bring on every fishing trip. I bring a copy of your local laws and regulations. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat this to you guys ad nauseum, because I don't want to see any of you guys out there getting caught by the game wardens and saying, I didn't know the law. Because you guys, they don't care if you don't know the law, okay? No diss on the game wardens, but frankly, they don't care if you don't know the law, okay? And they'll give you a ticket. Ignorance of the law is usually not an excuse. I'm not a lawyer, but that's just what I hear. So keep your local law book and regulations out. Make sure that that you're always up on those, you guys, and that you're always reading them and that you always have a copy of them. I would definitely keep a measuring tape on you too. Now, if you like to keep fish, now I know bass is not a good eating fish, but if you do like to keep fish, take my word for it. Get a measuring tape. Make sure that you measure the fish accurately, because most states, unless it's a fish that they don't want there, there's a certain length limit that you have to keep fish. So make sure that you keep something to measure with on board. This way the game wardens cannot get you for that. The second thing I would say is, or I'm probably on the third thing right now, is have a net. You need a net, you guys. You need a net. Now, I know for bass fishing, we like to grab the bass by the mouth when they're close to the boat and pull them right up in the boat, give them a kiss, call it good, wish them well. All right, you guys know the drill. Now, sometimes people get ahead of themselves and they think, well, shoot, why would I need a net? Well, what happens if you catch a 6 or 7 pound smallmouth bass? I can tell you guys this from experience, from experience. Let me repeat that again. From experience, repeating it the third time. What I can tell you guys is this. A 6 or 7 pound smallmouth bass is not going to screw around. That thing is going to fight until kingdom come. That thing is going to fight you hard. So the reality is have a net, because you're not always going to be able to have the gift of just dragging the bass along. He's got his mouth wide open and you just snag him right up in the boat. That's not always going to happen. In a fantasy land, that might happen. In the real world, though, we know that that doesn't always happen. So have a net, you guys, and have some pliers too. Pliers are a really big thing, you guys. Now, you might not always need pliers for bass, but you should still have them, because it's going to be hard to dig down into a bass's mouth and to try to get that hook out if it's that deep in there. But this is especially true for fish like walleye and pike that are toothy creatures. They are very toothy creatures, you guys. They'll tear up your lures. They'll scratch your lures, all that stuff. So you know those damn things have teeth. They have teeth. So therefore, you need to have a good set of pliers with you. Keep it in your tackle box. In fact, what I would do is I would keep 2 spare sets of pliers. You do not want to be out in the boat without a spare set of pliers. Have that with you. And what I would also recommend is this. I would have a life jacket with you too. Now, most states you have to have life jackets on board with you. It's best off to just have plenty of life jackets. So this way, everybody on board is within the law. And again, I'm not a lawyer here. I can't give legal advice, but I do know in most states that you need life jackets on board. So make sure that you keep life jackets on board. Make sure that you have that on there so that everybody stays safe and that you satisfy the law. All right, you guys. So I see that a few people are still in here. Like I said, you guys, make sure that you hit the like button. If you want to comment or add anything to the chat, feel free to put it in the chat. I really appreciate everybody who's in here tonight. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll go for just a few more minutes here. Wanted to let you guys know, too, have an announcement. Dieter Melhorn is going to be on the channel. He and I are going to be doing an interview tomorrow night. It's going to be a pre-record, though. It's not going to be live, you guys. But he and I are going to be doing a pre-record. That episode will likely be up Friday. Now, if you guys don't know Dieter Melhorn, he is a spectacular fisherman for catfish. This guy loves catfish, has a huge passion for catfish. If you guys want to know anything about catfish, this is the guy. This guy knows his stuff. I love having people on my channel who I'm a fan of their channel, but who I can also say provides value to my audience. That's the thing, you guys. I like giving you guys value. I like entertaining you guys. That's the whole reason why that I'm on YouTube, and mostly because I have a big passion for fishing. Want to share it with you guys. So that in mind, stay tuned for that. So let's get back to the last few essentials that we have. So sunscreen, you guys, you need sunscreen, especially in days in the summertime where those UV rays are high, the sun's high. You want sunglasses too, you guys. For years and years and years, I never wore sunglasses when I was fishing. And as I got older, I started to have a lot of headaches while I was fishing. Okay. But I came to realize that you got to have sunglasses. That helps you guys. Believe it or not, having a good pair of sunglasses helps. You can see in the water a lot better, and the sun is not going to get to you as much. And guys, again, the biggest thing is to have a checklist with you and have your checklist in multiple areas. Like I said, tape your checklist even to the tackle box if you need to. All right. And just make sure that you always have it. Trust me, you will not regret it at all. I can tell you guys, you will not regret it at all. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys all had a great rest of the evening. I hope you guys enjoyed this chat. Like I said, stay tuned for more content coming, you guys. I appreciate the support, and I will see you all soon.